This is Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. You're listening to Outside the Cage podcast.
This is Outside the Cage with your hosts, Ike Feldman, Pete Hoffman. UFC ESPN Plus era is taking place this Saturday, Barclays in Brooklyn, and we are super psyched to be joined by Joseph Benavidez, who has the best Twitter handle of all, Jiu-Jitsu. We love I mean, come on, dude, that's perfect. How much did you have to pay for that handle, by the way? Did you have to pay for that Twitter handle?
How much to pay for it?
Yeah, did you have to?
I didn't.
That's unbelievable.
That was mine, yeah. I got lucky. I was going for something normal like Joe B or Joseph or something, but I was like, oh, no one's going to have Jiu-Jitsu, and it didn't. It was pretty amazing.
Maybe I'll have to do
lucky.
Maybe I'll have to do Jiu-Jitsu and spell it Jew.
Oh, you could do that. My buddy Natan Levy, he has that on his shirts. He's actually from Israel. He's a fighter, and he has shirts of him grappling Jiu-Jitsu.
No shit, man. Awesome.
Yeah. And we also have Megan Olivi on the phone with us as well, and the perfect power team for this powerful UFC event in Brooklyn. So thank you both for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. He's the real MVP.
Oh, my gosh. He's too kind. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Now, give us, both can answer. Give us your feeling on just the energy coming into 2019, on our end of things. We just feel the ESPN era has seriously started this. It's built. It's been building for a while now, and we're super stoked, especially here in the New York area. We get to start off this ESPN era in our own backyard. But how does the fighters and how do the analysts feel about just this whole new era of the UFC?
Yeah, no, we're super excited, but there's something about the unknown that also is really appealing because we were with Fox for 7 years, and so it was very much, regimented thing. We knew exactly what was going to happen every week when we showed up in whatever city it was. So now for ESPN, this is all different, and it's exciting. I think New York is the perfect city to start the relationship in, and obviously with such a great card, it only makes it better. But in terms of like the partnership, I think that there's something super special about those four letters. Everybody across the world knows ESPN. And to finally give our fighters the platform in sports that is taken so seriously and is really just a leader in the sports network, it's pretty amazing. I mean, personally, I absolutely adored everyone at Fox. I have nothing but amazing things to say about my experiences there, and I'll still do things with them outside of MMA in the future, but for the sport and the platform that it gives our fighters, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Just talking from a purely like athletic athlete perspective, I mean, we're on ESPN. It's amazing. We for so long we were not looked down on, but we're a new sport. We're MMA. We fight in a cage, and now you just feel so legitimate. Being on ESPN and seeing the commercials with the fighters come up and everything. And I did a little plug for ESPN today. I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is real sports. Like, it's pretty cool. Like, cause I'm in this new era where things are evolving every day. So we do see this through the Fox, through this, through Reebok, through this. So it's just a really another one of those things that you would never take for granted, but you're like, finally, like we deserve this. Like, let's do it. And it just really inspires you at the same time. But, yeah, it's really cool. I could just say, it feels, like I said, not deserved, but it's just like, yes, this is what we work for. Like, we are some of the best athletes in the world. It's great to be looked at on the greatest sports network. So really happy to be kicking it off.
And what a better, crazier way to kick it off than with a super fight in TJ Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo for your flyweight division that is up in question right now. I mean, that is something that is just so asinine to us because one of the, Demetrius Johnson was arguably one of the pound for pound greatest fighters of all time, and UFC trades him off to one. And now there's a possibility of this flyweight division being dissolved and being taken away. And it's such an odd way to start off the ESPN era. Joseph, Joe, what do you feel about that? How this is your division, and especially if Cejudo wins, all of a sudden, they're talking about him going to 135 to try to get that champ of the bantamweight as well. That's your title shot. You have that with Cejudo. You've beat him before. You could beat him. Talk about this flyweight division.
Yeah. I mean, right now for me, it's business as usual. I got to fight. There's a title fight. I'm planning on fighting the winner of that fight. But yeah, it's a little. I mean, it's a little weird hearing the rumors and seeing people get cut. I've been here since day one. I'm literally the longest, tenured flyweight here. I was here in the original 4, and I'm still here, still at the top, ready to go for a title. We have our first champion besides Demetrius come through in Cejudo. So honestly, to me, man, it's crazy that it's even a rumor or talks at all, because I mean, it's more exciting than ever. When Anderson Silva lost his 185-pound belt, that's when the division really opened up. Before that, it was kind of weird having such a dominant guy. Then it opened up, and that's what I see happening with this division. I mean, we got a super fight already with the pound-for-pound guy like TJ. Like, that's all happening in our weight class, and there's other matchups beyond that. So, I think we go out there and do our job that night, and the main event puts on a good fight. I got a fight with Dustin Ortiz, who's a great opponent, and strong, solid flyweight who's been there. And we still have fights even scheduled after, so I don't think they think this is the last fight, because there's still fights happening after on different cards. So, for me, like I said, it's business as usual. I got Ortiz, and, looking for that title shot after, because that's happening as well.
Again, we're being joined by Joseph Benavidez and Megan Olivi. Megan, I want you to put the analyst hat on. Obviously, you're coming back for the ESPN era. Can't wait for all the interviews that you're going to be doing on Fight Night. Megan, what does Jiu-Jitsu have to do to get the win against Dustin?
He does that to be himself. What's funny is I obviously watch fights for a living, and it's a joy. It's the best job, and I love it, and it's a passion. But when Joe fights, I don't know what's happening. I haven't watched his last 4 fights.
What?
Yeah, I actually go in a hallway by myself, and I just set a timer for 17 minutes, and I just pray. And it's the last fight, I set the timer, and then they came over, and it was like, Joe won. I was like, listen, within 3 minutes. They're like, yeah, he won. And then as I was walking to the TV to see the replay, they were like, oh, he won again. So it was crazy. But, I always look at it as I get Joe's nerves, because I get super nervous, but he is having the time of his life. So I just think okay, well, God gives me his nerves to carry, and then, that's what I have to do for 17 minutes. So it's really awesome. And he is a pro, and, once in a while I'll be like, hey, you could do this a little better. If I go see him before, hey, stop doing that. That's annoying. And he just looks at me like, okay. He's the pro, and Joseph's been at the top of the sport since before I met him, and it's been the top 1 or 2 or 3 in bantamweight and flyweight for the past 10 years. So I'm just here to support him as a wife and as a partner, and not not in the fight world, because my brain turns to mush when he fights anyway. So.
And with any other fighter, I would say be worried. But honestly, watching The Ultimate Fighter with Joe and Henry, Joe's one of the most cerebral guys. He's loose and he laughs it up, fun guy. But when he's in coaching mode, he's like, guys, take the back, roll it. He's the most clear, concise guy. Joe, I forget. I think it was 232. You were cornering somebody. Is that right?
Possibly.
Maybe Lance.
It was. Yeah. Oh, PFL. It was PFL. Okay, right?
I get my corners in. I get my corners in. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I don't know if that's the next step for you, but dude, there's certain coaches that you're not the Matt Serra that cuts through the air, but it's you deliver clear, concise advice to your fighters, man. I know you're a smart guy, but to communicate it properly to your fighters, where do you get that from?
I don't know. I think it's just caring, honestly. That's what I've realized about my best coaches. Is they care, and it's really their time that they give you. No one has every single answer, and no one has every single thing, but you can just feel their genuine time and them caring. And I think that's where it comes from. Is it's all right, well, if I'm asked to coach this guy who might be my friend or whatever, or these new flyweights that are going for the title, I'm going to give them my all. And that's just my giving nature, I think. And just be nice and seeing the best in people. So I just always try to give them my best if I'm coaching. So, and like I said, that's what I've realized in great coaches in the past, or at least ones that I've really gotten along with, is just they just genuinely care. So I think that's most important as a coach and leading somebody in their goals.
Again, being joined by Joseph Benavidez and Megan Olivi. UFC ESPN 1 Brooklyn this Saturday night. We're looking forward tons of fights, but there's also some controversy, and that always happens every single card, no matter what, whether it's John Jones fighting or someone. But Greg Hardy is on this card, along with Rachel Ostovich. We all know what Rachel Ostovich went through to get back to being on this card, which we're so proud of her to show how tough she is, and excited to see her fight versus Paige Van Zandt. But then on the other spectrum, you have Greg Hardy, who we're not really sure what he can do in the UFC. We've seen what he can do Tuesday Night Contenders series. We've seen what he can do in a couple of random promotions here and there, but nothing to the level of the UFC. And that's what makes the UFC so great is that is the best talent out there. So Greg Hardy coming in, he's got power, but was it a poor choice, Megan, especially for you? Was it a poor choice to put someone like Greg Hardy, not only thank goodness he's not on the ESPN card, he's not on the ESPN Plus, but he's the co-main event. It's just an odd timing. It's like the CM Punk experiment all over again. Was it a poor timing? You could have put him on any other 40 cards the rest of the year.
It is obviously interesting. And yeah, I'm sure that first off, no one could foresee what was going to happen to Rachel. So, to have them originally on the same card was one thing before it happened. And after, it's obviously, it's something that is really controversial. And, it's tough sometimes to understand it because the pushback is pushback for protection of Rachel. You know what I mean? It's because they care about her. And I actually did quite a long sit down with Rachel yesterday that will air on ESPN on Saturday. And, I obviously asked her about it, and she's first of all an incredible human being. I think people who don't know her, they're going to learn a lot about her, the way she carries herself and the strength that she has after what she's been through. And she's still healing from that, emotionally, physically, mentally, everything. But, I asked her about it, and she had a great attitude about it. She's like, his journey is his journey, and I can't control it. And the UFC did talk to her about it, and she didn't have any problem with them being on the card. But I will tell you, she has planned that if they're around each other, things that she wants to say to him and the conversation that they're going to have. And none of it's confrontational or anything like that. And it's actually very sweet. And so she's put a lot of thought into it. And, there were times during our interview that I was brought to tears. But with this whole Greg situation, she has a firm grasp on what it means and how, she as a victim of domestic violence can be a good advocate and also, help heal herself, but also, help heal people who have been on the other end of the domestic violence relationship and get, push for them to get help they need. But she has really, really kind but strong and sure things that she wants to say to him should they meet up. So, I let her lead the, how should we follow kind of thing, because, she's the person who's been through it, not myself or most other people who are around. But, yes, it's controversial and it's going to be, and understandably so. Those are people that care about Rachel and all victims of domestic violence. But, she believes firmly in him having a second chance. So it is interesting to see. And it's interesting to see how he does on his debut. It's a huge platform, and it is very different than Contender Series. I mean, not that he is not used to massive crowds or performing on the highest level with the NFL, but it's different. Yeah, you're fighting another person in a cage in front of 20,000 people. That is a different experience.
Yeah, and I feel like this is a real opportunity for the audience and all the fighters and people who play sports to learn. Honestly, this is a second chance for Greg, and it's a chance for Rachel to be a hero in a sense. And it's funny, I joke around about like what the hell could go wrong with the UFC's third visit to Brooklyn. Obviously 208 was a crappy fights. 223, we had the Conor McGregor mess. I mean, I hope we get out of there unscathed and we start the ESPN era off beautifully. But thank you for answering the heavy stuff, Megan. Now, I want to transition to some light stuff. Again, we're being joined by Mr. Olivi and Mrs. Benavidez. What the hell's going on with the last name, guys? I hear wife being thrown around and husband being thrown around. What's going on with the stage names? And how are you going to name the kids? What's going on with this?
It is 2019. My husband is very cool with me keeping my last name. Our kids will obviously have his last name many years down the road when that happens. But from day one, he has been like, you do not have to change your name. And I love my name, and I'm proud of my Italian heritage. And one day I would love to have the same last name as my husband. But as of right now, if it doesn't bother him, it certainly doesn't bother me.
Wait, Megan, I can just almost hear your hand over the mouth of Joe. Joe, you're allowed to answer the question.
No. Yeah. No, I was just saying, dude, I don't need to answer. Like, she answered it for me.
Smart man.
We're in love, and, like, we're married. Like, I don't know. I mean, I understand that's tradition and whatever, but, I mean, it's not everything because someone doesn't have the same last name as you, especially with, everything in our lives. Like, you don't need to change your last name for us to be married and in love. I actually kind of like it that we have different names, We're different people, but we're one and the same. Maybe if anything, we can change our last name to Benavidez.
Benavidez,
love it.
We broke some news.
There we go. Now, we talked, there's no kids in the future right now, but what about the puppies? How are they doing? Have they made any picks for this weekend at all?
We just have one dog, Benny.
Yeah, we have
Benny.
Benny.
And he's the best.
Did he make any picks for this weekend at all?
No,
I don't think he did
didn't
picks
do
this
one.
weekend.
No, he didn't. Only pay-per-views, but he knows TJ really well. Like he was around TJ for years, so he probably would run right to TJ's picture because he knows him and they used to play all the time. So I'm sure, but he's only doing picks for pay-per-views. He's very picky about what he does.
Gotcha. Well, he's very smart.
He doesn't just sell himself, for any old Instagram video. Mainly the big pay-per-views like Cyborg, John Jones type stuff.
He's big money.
No, he loves it though. But it's just honestly, it's meant to be like fighting's in his blood. He grew up around it, but I don't really want my son fighting. So I'm just glad he's putting his knowledge, to use, being a nice little bookie.
Yeah.
Joe, we've seen Megan's doppelganger. She's on Riverdale every week. I don't know if you watch on Wednesdays. Do you Megan?
Watch Riverdale I can't wait till it comes back tonight.
Is it on tonight?
Yeah, it's been off air for 3 weeks.
Oh my God, I catch the reruns.
Hell for us on Wednesdays. But we like Riverdale a lot, and it's tough. It's one of those things where like you watch it and you're just like, who am I? Like I'm 34 years old, but you can't stop watching it. And I have a friend on it. Mark Consuelos is a friend, and just always heard how everyone liked the show, looked interesting, and man, we can't say how hooked we are.
Dude, I don't know if this is the same, but I watched the show on Netflix, You, with my wife, and it's like after that show, I literally had to stop smoking. I was like, I got too paranoid about the serial killer boyfriend. I go, oh shit, I should probably stop right now. I got a little too paranoid, but that's a smart move by you, Joe. Honestly, that's a smart move.
Oh, but who Joe? Who's Megan? Who's Joe's doppelganger? Who does he? Because you look like the actress on the show on Riverdale. Who does Joe look like?
She really does. Who do I look like?
I don't know.
Mark? Is he Mark Consuelos?
Young Consuelos.
Yeah.
Like a.
I would like that. I agree with that.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Whoever's like a sultry Latin athlete. I don't know.
Whoa, guys, we're doing an interview.
This is a PG radio station, okay, guys? And one thing that we love about MMA, by the way,
I've been told I look like a ton of people, which is weird.
I get people all the time.
She gets like Nelly Furtado and the Riverdale girl all the time.
I can see Nelly Furtado.
No one ever comes up to me and is just like, who you look like? I think I'm just one in a kind, I guess.
Joe, this weekend I'm going to run into you, and I'm going to have the perfect doppelganger for you. I promise you. I'm good with that stuff.
Please do.
One thing that I did want, because you're talking about like celebrities and stuff like that too. One thing about MMA, it has crossed over. Again, it's on ESPN. You said it's now semi. It's always been a legitimate sport. You can't take it away. It has been real for a very long time. The impact it's made, the fact that it sold for $4 billion was impactful. But now that's on ESPN, it definitely is more legitimized than it ever has been. But the crossover to celebrity, seeing guys like Chris Pratt in the crowd constantly, Anthony Kiedis showing up, all these rock stars, movie stars, everybody. Do you feel sometimes you're walking through a place and you run into somebody and you're like, oh my God, this person knows who I am? Isn't that crazy?
He waved to Khloe Kardashian as he was getting in the office.
What? That's swag, man.
It was amazing. I was walking in. and I was just like super intense, like walking around the cage. I see Chloe, I'm like, oh, Coco, and I just waved at her. It was amazing.
You're like, Chloe Lamar didn't do it.
Yeah, it was great. But other than that, I mean, it's really cool to see that because I'm like a big fan of the arts, whether it be music or acting or anything. So to see these people have respect for what we do, man, it's just, it means everything to me. Like I've met artists that I admire, musicians that I admire, actors.
Director?
Yeah, I met a director, a movie director that I knew his work, and so seeing those guys really enjoy what we're doing, it's another one of those things. You know, it's just like this is great. Like, you know, it feels good. You know, I don't know any other deeper way to say it than just like, wow, like how did I get here? I guess is kind of like the question. You know, like this guy knows me, and you know, I'm talking to this Hollywood actor or whatever. So other than that, you know, it just feels good, keeps you inspired, keeps you positive, and it's just always a good thing. You know, good things happening when you're working hard.
It's
you
great.
mentioned Anthony Kiedis, though. I have to give Anthony Kiedis credit. First off, he's the sweetest human being. He will be in his seat before the first fight even starts.
Wow.
Like, he knows everything about every fighter on the card. He'll be like, did you see that third fight on Contender Series last week? Or did you see that episode of The Ultimate Fighter last night? Like,
Holy
Anthony
shit.
Kiedis is a super fan, and he is, like, an intelligent super fan. He's the best.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the best part about it. Like, when the UFC cracked through New York, you saw Donald Trump Jr., Odell Beckham, man. I really appreciate, like, how much respect this is getting. And, Joseph, thanks to you, man. Like, seriously, I'm genuine as hell when I'm saying, dude, you're one of the most cerebral, smart guys, like, I've ever heard, like, talk on the interviews. I mean, during the shows, and obviously appreciate your time in this interview. Putting on your analyst hat, man, obviously you got to scrap this Saturday against Dustin Ortiz, UFC on ESPN Plus, won the first card to kick off the ESPN hour. Can't wait for it. But, dude, you fought Henry. You trained with TJ. How's this fight going to turn out? Who's taking away the belt?
It's really tough because obviously in this sport, when you get two guys that are so good, it's literally fractions of seconds and inches that make a difference. And both guys are capable. You know, like you can put on this hat and see like, oh, this is how Cejudo wins, and you can go over here and look at how TJ wins. I think the biggest factor is just like, can TJ perform strength, speed, cardio-wise like he's used to, or is him making that cut to 25 gonna, you know, be in the back of his mind when he's pushing the pace, or is he actually not going to physically, you know, not only mentally, just like physically feel as good? So I think there's some little factors there because honestly, I mean, I've trained probably the most rounds in my life I've done with anyone has probably been TJ, and I fought Cejudo to an amazing fight. And TJ's, you know, one of the best people I've ever trained with. Cejudo's one of the best people I ever fought. But the fight is at 125, which is Cejudo's weight class. You know, at 35, it might not be a question, but I mean, it might because, you know, Cejudo would be still maybe a little bigger, maybe a little stronger, moving up. So I don't know. It's just one of those fights. It's really hard to pick, but you can definitely see both guys. I think that's what's crazy about this division is these are two of literally the best athletes in the entire UFC, and they're fighting in the flyweight division for the flyweight title. And that just shows how incredible this weight class is.
Wow. Megan, do you think that Joseph has a career in analytical stuff as an analyst on for ESPN? Because he really is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's going to obviously sound biased because I'm his wife, but you guys, like, have no clue how incredibly intelligent and creative he is. Like,
I tried to give him so many compliments.
No. Like, you should see the stuff that he does at our house in terms of, like, art and everything as well. He doesn't put it out on social media, so the world, like, would have no idea how to see it. But, like, I'm blown away by him because I do not have that type of brain. Like, I am very type A. And so whether it's breaking down fights like you guys have so kindly given him credit for, and just as a person, he's incredibly calm and just very in tune with himself. So I think that helps with a lot as well. But he can do anything he wants, whether he wants to act or be an artist or have his own clothing team or be a stylist or work for GQ or whatever it is. Like, if it's going to be creative, which, you know, being an analyst is something creative. You have to be able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Joe, literally, the world is at his fingertips. And obviously it sounds like, oh, okay, that's his wife. But, like, I never worry about what he wants to do when he's done fighting because he can do anything. I always tell him, just try hard. And when he tries hard, it's amazing.
No question. And again, let's start off 2019 with the big win, and let's hope to see Joseph Benavidez holding up that flyweight title soon. All right? Megan Olivi,
sir.
Joseph Benavidez, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You guys are the best. Appreciate you having us.